What's up, Disney? My name is Dan. You are watching my channel. So, onto the video. Many of you may or may not know that I am an atheist. I don't really believe in any kind of supernatural being. I do believe in the possibility that maybe, that, there could be some, like force or, whatever. But for now, I'm not going to say anything about that. But ever since I was a kid, when I was little, I read like the first beginning of Genesis, and then I read a textbook about like dinosaurs, and actually when I was a kid, I heard about dinosaurs. I couldn't imagine anything coming before them because in school, when you're like in first grade, you're never told the creationist thing kind of sat. My parents aren't creationists, by the way. It's just that's the way kids are like. Anyway, going back to the story. So, for as long as I've like ever since I learned about human evolution and biology, how things change, especially like in seventh grade when I got interested, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Things are modified based on need. Creatures will change, and I I've met people who are creationists, and we've all seen them on the internet. The Josh Stein types, the Ken Hams, and a lot of them say to people who believe in who prescribe to evolution that your life must have like no meaning because you're not, ooh, I touch you and you're special, ooh. But I was recently, I'm a self-professed. I like to read science fiction, science books. Read The God Delusion twice, and The Greatest Show on Earth, The Proof of Evolution, both by Richard Dawkins, and I'm considering getting some of the other works by like Lawrence Krauss and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I even currently have, Stephen Hawking's Brief History of Time, which I was starting to pick up. Then I realized I had some books, some science fiction, and I'm a sucker for science fiction because I have long days at work, and put them in. You put the headphones in the ear and you listen to them, and boom, you have a whole story. But back to the subject. So, in my many escapades through my science fiction, library on Audibles and those that I have, the books on discs that I borrowed from the library and didn't, save to my computer and so I could listen to them later. But anyway, I was going through a book and something just it made perfect sense as a complete retort to the Creationist. This actually comes from comes from Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers, and if that name sounds familiar, yes, there was a movie about it back in the 1990s. Book's a little different. They have power armor. But anyway, to get to what I was going to say. So, in the book, the main character, Johnny Rico, who is, apparently Filipino and not, a white guy, is in class and his teacher is talking to him about merit, on rights, like what's the advantage of being given a right at birth as opposed to have earned it, And he used the analogy that Johnny said, let's say I write on this paper and I hand you, he said, you've won the 100-meter dash, you have first place. And then Johnny's like, well, I'd say you could shove it, and he throws it back at him and says, I won, fourth place in that of that race. And his teacher's like, exactly. You see, you're much happier with the fact you earned that fourth place instead of being given the first place. You take no value in the effort you got. And then that, upon reading that, it's stuck in my head. That's what you tell. I don't know if it's just, you see, you clearly don't take a value of the spot that humans have earned through being successful species. We are descendants of winners, to quote Richard Dawkins. We are the descendants of winners who won in the terms of reproduction and survival, which is very important as a species. And to go back to that whole thing about, you take pride in the fact of what you've done. As creationists have this kind of thing is, God said, "You shall be my chosen people," and they're like, okay, we can do whatever we want, almost like to reference something is, it's like someone being handed when you're handed $1,000, and I know because my grandmother one time said, oh, I got this big payout, so here's $1,000, because your birthday's coming up, and it's like, you're like, thanks, Grandma, but when I look at my bank statement and I've seen $1,000, which I have spent 2 weeks working to get at work, I'm like, yes, it's mine. And you're almost like, I don't want to spend this. I need to make sure this lasts. That's what I think when you hear someone who subscribes to evolution, supposed to creation, because we're like, we're in our spot, and we got to make sure that we're responsible for the planet. We're a part of the planet because we come from the planet, and the fact is that creationists have this, like, you're special, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a number of them, especially those that are homes, have this, Jesus is gonna come and he's gonna fix everything, and let's fuck up the planet while he's not here yet, which is one of the worst things ever. That's the worst idea you could do. And I think that's why most people who are secular humanists or atheists or agnostics tend to be a lot more environmentally conscious. I mean, we're not all driving around Prius and voting Democrat, but we're they think, and this is not to try to sound, so we're not trying to sound like I'm trying to sound like a bragger, but we tend to say, okay, there's no sky god daddy gonna come down and fix everything. We have to take responsibility. Our species has earned, this right here, this extremely large brain, which allows us to think in very abstract and projecting the future. We leave some water in a cave in a bottle with salted meats covered, because we know that one day we're going to come back and we're going to need that. Or we set up a fund for our children, so if we die they have money. And we think ahead. And that's we realize that's what we have. And we're trying to think ahead. The problem is when Creationists have been indoctrinated to think, is that, no, we're special. And things are going to get fixed. There's an abdication of responsibility for what they are doing. It's kind of like when you're and again, I'm using the analogy again for the money given. You're given the money by your parent or your grandparent, and you just want to spend it. But when you earn that money and you realize the costs, the worth of earning it, you're like, I'm going to make sure this is put to good use. Perhaps make it even grow. And that hit me right here. I'm like, yes, that's a species we need to do. We need to grow. we're at 7.5 billion people on this planet, and I think that one of the things we need to do is first we need to get out. We need to stop carrying all our eggs in one basket. I've always, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always looked at the sky. I'm like, we need to go out there. We need to go to space. We need to go to Mars, to Luna, to Luna's the moon. Maybe set up like cloud cities on Venus. Maybe mine the heavy metals off Mercury. Go to Europa and all those places. Turn Mars and Venus into the second and third green orbs in the solar system. Work on getting faster than light travel. That's the forethought. We've earned this, and we're gonna go. We're taking control of our destiny. Whereas creationists are like, God will save us. God will save us. Not, no responsibility. But I'm saved. This is like one of the worst things you can do. Take responsibility for what you're as a species, and then maybe one day, our children, like, I'm so glad that as a species we're spread out. I mean, there may be 11 billion of us, but we're on 5 worlds, and we're expanding out to the stars. I mean, 11 billion on 5 worlds is not that bad, as opposed to having 10 billion on a world where everyone is going to be required to become a vegetarian and eat bugs for protein, because there's not enough land to sustain a population of bipedal furless apes whose main diet consists of plants and protein. So that's what I gotta say about my realization about what people who respect evolution have to offer the creationists who think they're so high and mighty. We're the ones who realize that we have the responsibility, and we're taking that responsibility, and that's the best thing we can do. And I think I said that enough for this video. So, if you like this video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Leave a comment, man. I mean, if you really like this video, let me know. If you don't, and you think I'm a piece of shit who's fat and has really curly hair, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. My name's Dan, and you have yourself a wonderful day. Bye. Bye. Bye.